Let's start by talking about the 1965 quarter dollar, a coin that holds a very special place in the history of United States coinage. To fully understand why this coin is important, it is essential to take a brief look at the broader history of U.S. coins. Prior to 1965, American coins, including dimes, quarters, and half dollars, were made primarily of silver. In fact, from the late 18th century until the mid-20th century, silver was a standard component in U.S. coins. This metal not only gave the coins intrinsic value but also contributed to their durability, distinct appearance, and unique sound when dropped on a hard surface. Collectors often appreciate silver coins not just for their monetary worth, but also for their historical significance and aesthetic qualities. However, the early 1960s were a period of significant change for American coinage. Rising silver prices meant that the intrinsic value of silver in coins was beginning to approach, and in some cases exceed, the face value of the coins themselves. This created a problem for the U.S. government. Producing coins was becoming increasingly expensive. In response, the United States Mint made a critical decision in 1965. They eliminated silver from the standard circulating dimes and quarters, replacing it with a clad composition. Clad coins are made by bonding a layer of copper-nickel alloy to a core of pure copper. This combination preserved the coin's durability and appearance while significantly reducing production costs. The 1965 quarter dollar, therefore, marks a turning point in U.S. coinage history, transitioning from the silver era to the modern clad era. The design of the 1965 quarter itself remained consistent with previous years, which is a crucial point for collectors and historians. On the obverse side, the coin features a profile portrait of George Washington, the first President of the United States, which was introduced in 1932 to commemorate the bicentennial of his birth. The image was created by sculptor John Flanagan and has since become one of the most recognizable designs in American coinage. Washington's profile is rendered in fine detail, with his powdered hair tied back in a queue and his dignified facial expression. The words "Liberty" and "In God We Trust" appear alongside the portrait, with the mint year 1965 at the bottom of the coin. On the reverse side, the coin features an eagle with outstretched wings, perched on a bundle of arrows, with two olive branches beneath. This imagery symbolizes both the strength and peace of the United States, a common theme in American heraldry. The eagle design dates back to the original Washington quarter, introduced in 1932, and has remained virtually unchanged. For collectors, the continued presence of this design provides a sense of continuity, even as the metal composition of the coin underwent a dramatic shift. One of the fascinating aspects of the 1965 quarter is the potential for rare and collectible variations, which are primarily linked to mint errors or the few remaining silver coins that may have circulated mistakenly. For example, during the transition to clad coins, some experimental strikes or production anomalies occurred. Coins with unusual metal compositions, double dies, off-center strikes, or planchet errors can be extremely valuable today. A 1965 quarter that inadvertently contains silver or shows a unique minting error can fetch hundreds or even thousands of dollars at auction. This makes it an exciting year for collectors who are searching for coins that stand out from the standard circulation issues. Examining a 1965 quarter closely can reveal subtle clues about its composition and rarity. For instance, collectors often check the edge of the coin. A normal clad quarter has a distinct copper-colored core visible along the edge, sandwiched between the silver-colored outer layers of copper-nickel. By contrast, a silver coin would appear uniform in color and slightly heavier in weight. The shine of the coin can also be an indicator. Clad coins tend to have a slightly different luster than their silver predecessors. Over time, wear and environmental factors affect all coins, but careful examination under proper lighting can help differentiate between standard and unusual specimens. The mint mark is another critical detail for collectors. In 1965, the U.S. Mint did not place mint marks on circulating quarters, a policy that lasted until 1968. This means that all 1965 quarters were effectively unmarked, making it impossible to immediately tell whether a coin came from the Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco Mint just by looking at the surface. However, modern collectors can use historical records and subtle production characteristics to make educated guesses about the origin of specific coins. This adds another layer of intrigue and challenge for numismatists, who delight in piecing together a coin's history. Beyond its technical and collectible aspects, the 1965 quarter also represents a broader cultural and economic shift. The decision to eliminate silver was a reflection of changing times, including economic pressures and technological advances in coin production. It marks the beginning of a modern era in which coins are valued more for their face value and collectability than for the precious metals they contain. For many collectors, owning a 1965 quarter is like holding a piece of American history, a tangible reminder of a moment when the U.S. government adapted its currency system to meet new economic realities. For coin enthusiasts, the 1965 quarter can serve as an entry point into the fascinating world of mid-20th century numismatics. It provides an opportunity to study the transition from silver to clad coins, to appreciate historical designs, and to search for rare variations that might be hiding in circulation or private collections. Whether you are a casual collector or a serious numismatist, the 1965 quarter is a coin that demands attention, study, and respect. Its story is not just about metal and minting, it is about the history of a nation, its economy, and the artistry that went into crafting its currency. In conclusion, the 1965 quarter dollar is more than just a 25-cent coin. It is a symbol of transition, innovation, and the enduring legacy of American coin design. The replacement of silver with a copper-nickel clad composition marked a turning point in U.S. monetary history. Its continued use of the Washington portrait and eagle reverse connects collectors to nearly a century of American numismatic tradition. Rare errors and unique specimens from this year can be especially valuable, offering collectors the thrill of discovering something extraordinary in a seemingly ordinary coin. Examining its edge, shine, and historical context helps collectors appreciate why the 1965 quarter holds a special place in American coin history and why it continues to be celebrated by numismatists around the world. Now, let's move on to the 1967 quarter dollar, a coin that holds a fascinating place in the history of United States numismatics. To truly appreciate the significance of this coin, it is important to first understand the broader context of American coinage during the mid-1960s. The early 1960s were a period of transition for U.S. coins, following the major change in 1965 when silver was removed from dimes and quarters. The government had begun producing coins with a copper-nickel clad composition to reduce costs and respond to the rising price of silver. By 1967, this new system was firmly in place, and circulating coins reflected this modernized composition. One of the most distinctive aspects of the 1967 quarter is the absence of a mint mark. A mint mark is a small letter on a coin indicating which U.S. mint facility produced it, typically P for Philadelphia, D for Denver, or S for San Francisco. From 1965 through 1967, however, the U.S. Mint deliberately chose not to include mint marks on circulating quarters, dimes, and half dollars. This decision was a strategic response to a surprising phenomenon. Coin collectors were removing large numbers of coins from circulation and hoarding them. The removal of mint marks helped the government prevent this form of coin shortage by making it more difficult for collectors to identify and selectively remove coins from circulation based on their origin. Despite the lack of mint marks, 1967 quarters were produced in massive quantities to meet the demands of commerce. Millions of these coins entered everyday transactions across the United States, yet some of them became surprisingly special over time. During production, various types of minting errors occurred, creating rare variations that have become highly sought after by collectors today. Minting errors are anomalies that happen during the coin production process, and they can include anything from doubled letters and misaligned designs to off-center strikes, planchet flaws, or missing elements. While most errors are subtle and require close inspection, some are quite obvious and immediately distinguishable. One common type of error seen on 1967 quarters is the doubled die. In a doubled die, the images or letters on the coin appear slightly doubled because of a misalignment during the die creation process. For instance, letters in the inscriptions Liberty or In God We Trust may show a faint or pronounced doubling effect, making them look blurry or shadowed. Collectors prize these doubled die coins because they are limited in number and represent a unique anomaly in the coin's production. In some cases, a doubled die can significantly increase a coin's market value, especially if the error is well-defined and easy to see without magnification. Another interesting error type for 1967 quarters is design shifts or misalignments. During high-speed minting, a coin blank may not have been perfectly centered under the striking die, causing the design to shift slightly to one side. This results in an uneven appearance, with parts of the eagle, arrows, or George Washington's portrait appearing off-center. Such coins are unusual, and although they were accidental, they provide a window into the manufacturing challenges of the era. Coins with design shifts are rare enough that even slight variations can attract the attention of collectors who specialize in error coins. In addition to double dies and design shifts, some 1967 quarters exhibit what are known as planchet flaws. A planchet is the blank piece of metal that is struck to create a coin. Sometimes, impurities in the metal, incomplete blanks, or minor scratches can result in coins with unusual textures or imperfections. While these flaws were unintentional, they add a layer of uniqueness and can make the coin more interesting to collectors. It is worth noting that not all planchet flaws significantly increase a coin's value, but the most distinct and rare examples often fetch premium prices in auctions and private sales. For collectors, examining the 1967 quarter requires careful attention to detail. Unlike later coins, which often display mint marks to indicate their origin, the 1967 quarter's absence of mint marks means that rarity is determined primarily by the coin's condition, errors, and anomalies. Factors such as luster, surface quality, sharpness of design, and the presence of any minting error play a key role in establishing a coin's collectability. Coins that have retained their original brilliance with minimal wear, or that exhibit a clear error, are especially prized. It is also important to understand the cultural and historical significance of the 1967 quarter. This coin exists at the intersection of a transitional period in U.S. coinage, the move from silver to copper-nickel-clad compositions, and the government's efforts to manage coin circulation in response to collector demand. Owning a 1967 quarter is not just about possessing a small denomination coin, it is about holding a piece of American monetary history. Collectors value this coin because it tells a story of economic adaptation, technological advancement, and human behavior surrounding coins in circulation. For error coin enthusiasts, the 1967 quarter represents an exciting field of discovery. Each coin can be examined for doubled letters, shifts in design, and other anomalies that make it unique. These errors are permanent, meaning that they cannot be corrected, and the coins with such anomalies are naturally finite in number. This rarity, combined with the historical context of the coin, creates a strong demand in the collector market. Even today, a 1967 quarter with a clear double die or a noticeable design shift can sell for multiples of its face value, particularly if it is in excellent condition. In conclusion, the 1967 quarter dollar is a remarkable example of mid-20th century American coinage. Its lack of a mint mark reflects a historical response to coin hoarding, while its composition and design tie it to the larger story of the post-silver era of coins. The minting errors, including double dies, misaligned designs, and planchet flaws, make it an exciting coin for collectors, offering opportunities to discover something rare and valuable in everyday circulation. Beyond its economic and numismatic significance, the 1967 quarter is a tangible link to the challenges and innovations of the U.S. Mint during a transformative period. For collectors, historians, and enthusiasts alike, this coin represents a fascinating chapter in the story of American currency, reminding us that even ordinary coins can carry extraordinary value when examined closely and appreciated fully. Let's take a closer look at the 1972 quarter dollar, a coin that stands out for collectors not only because of its historical significance but also because of a particularly interesting minting error. While the coin is part of the regular series of U.S. quarters, it shares a connection with other coins of the era, including the famous Lincoln penny, which has become iconic for its own minting anomalies. What makes the 1972 quarter particularly fascinating is the presence of the double die error, a phenomenon that significantly increases a coin's collectability and market value. To begin, it's important to understand the context of U.S. coinage in the early 1970s. By 1972, coins had fully transitioned from silver to the copper-nickel-clad composition, a change that began in 1965 to reduce costs and respond to the rising price of silver. The U.S. Mint had become adept at producing large quantities of quarters, dimes, and half dollars for everyday circulation, while still maintaining the iconic designs that had defined these coins for decades. The obverse of the quarter features the familiar profile of George Washington, created by John Flanagan in 1932 to commemorate the bicentennial of his birth. The reverse depicts a majestic eagle perched on a bundle of arrows, with olive branches beneath, symbolizing both strength and peace. This design continuity helped maintain a sense of tradition even as the metal composition and minting processes evolved. What sets the 1972 quarter apart from its predecessors is the double die error. A double die occurs during the process of creating the coin dies, the metal stamps used to strike coin blanks. Essentially, the die itself receives an impression that is slightly misaligned or repeated during the engraving process. When this die is later used to strike coins, the letters and sometimes parts of the design appear doubled on the surface of the coin. On the 1972 quarter, the most commonly affected areas are the inscriptions Liberty and In God We Trust, which may appear thicker, slightly blurred, or showing faint overlapping outlines. In some cases, the doubling is subtle, visible only under magnification, while in others it is more pronounced, making the coin immediately recognizable as a rare error. The doubled die error is highly prized by collectors because it is both rare and permanent. Unlike minor wear and tear, which can diminish a coin's value over time, the double die is a product of the minting process and remains on the coin indefinitely. Its rarity is a result of the fact that only a limited number of dies were affected in this way, meaning that only a small percentage of the total mintage displays this error. For the 1972 quarter, this has created a niche but very active market among numismatists who specialize in error coins or double die varieties. In addition to the double die, collectors often pay attention to other details that can affect the coin's value. For example, the overall condition, or grade, of the coin is critical. Coins that have retained their original luster, sharp design details, and minimal wear are significantly more valuable than heavily circulated examples. The combination of a clear double die and a high grade can result in a coin selling for multiple times its face value, sometimes reaching hundreds or even thousands of dollars depending on the severity of the doubling and the coin's condition. The 1972 quarter's connection to the Lincoln penny is also worth noting. That same year, the Lincoln cent saw one of the most famous double die errors in American coinage history, the 1972 double die obverse penny. This error became a benchmark for collectors, and its fame has helped increase awareness of similar errors on quarters and other denominations. Collectors who specialize in double die coins often compare different denominations from the same year to identify patterns and variations in the minting process. The 1972 quarter fits into this broader narrative, illustrating how minting errors can span multiple coin types in a given year. Understanding the origin of the double die error also sheds light on the complexities of coin production. Coins are struck by dies with incredible precision, yet the process is not immune to human or mechanical imperfections. During die preparation, a master hub transfers the design onto working dies, sometimes in multiple impressions. If the hub and die are not perfectly aligned during this process, it creates the doubled impression that appears on subsequent coins. The U.S. Mint has historically taken great care to minimize these errors, but some slip through, and those coins are now treasures for collectors. Each double die coin tells a story of the minting process, capturing a moment when precision slightly failed but created a permanent anomaly that makes the coin unique. Collectors interested in the 1972 quarter should also be aware of the importance of authentication. Because double die errors are highly valuable, there have been instances of coins being altered or misrepresented in the market. Professional grading services like PCGS and NGC provide authentication and grading, helping buyers confirm that a coin is genuine and accurately described. Coins that have been certified with a clear double die designation often command higher prices because buyers have confidence in their authenticity. Beyond its technical and collector appeal, the 1972 quarter is a reminder of the intersection between artistry, engineering, and economics in U.S. coinage. While at first glance it may seem like a simple 25-cent piece, its existence reflects the mint's efforts to produce durable, high-quality coins for a growing economy. The double die error adds a layer of intrigue, turning an ordinary coin into a collectible item with a story to tell. For collectors, owning a 1972 quarter with a double die is not just about financial value, it is about participating in the ongoing history of American numismatics, appreciating the craftsmanship of the mint, and enjoying the thrill of discovering a rare and unique coin. In summary, the 1972 quarter dollar is more than just a circulating coin, it is a fascinating piece of history with a story that appeals to collectors worldwide. The double die error, primarily affecting the inscriptions Liberty and In God We Trust, transforms this ordinary coin into a valuable collectible. Its rarity, permanence, and connection to the broader history of U.S. coinage make it highly sought after. Combined with careful attention to condition, grading, and authenticity, the 1972 quarter offers both novice and experienced collectors an opportunity to own a piece of minting history. Whether studied for its technical details, admired for its design, or collected as a valuable numismatic treasure, the 1972 quarter demonstrates how even everyday coins can hold extraordinary value and interest when examined closely and appreciated fully.